Rastafari. Rastas believe that Ethiopia was and is the true biblical Israel. Thus, as they see it, blacks were the original chosen people of God, and the Jews are imposters. They say that Jesus Christ was black, and they worship Haile Selassie as the returned Messiah. Africa is their promised land. All other civilization is Babylon. And Babylon's leader, considered by them to be the devil on earth, is the Pope.
We kill him, every thought we have is just to kill the Pope. Kill him, kill out Rome, kill Babylon.
And you're serious about that?
Yeah, and how we going to kill them though is with lightning, earthquake, and thunder. Not gun or bayonet, which is Babylon's weapons, but with lightning, earthquake, and thunder.
Rastaman Arthur Kitchen's Kill the Pope sentiments are shared by Rastas throughout the island. The scene is a hillside on the outskirts of Kingston. The sound is Rastafarian drums, symbolic thunder, rolled in daily ritual. 4 drum beats aimed at the 4 corners of the world, so no Pope can escape. Babylon will fall is the Rastaman's constant litany. They are praying, hoping, singing for survival and for escape. Marcus Garvey was a Jamaican slum dweller who later became a celebrity in New York's Harlem. Today, he remains one of Jamaica's national heroes. To the Rastafarians, he was a prophet like John the Baptist, this time announcing the second coming of Christ. Haile Selassie was at birth named Ras, or Prince, Tafari, Rastafari. At his coronation in Ethiopia, he was crowned King of Kings, Lord of Lords, conquering Lion of the tribe of Judah. Names that the Bible foretold would be given to the returned Messiah. Shortly afterwards, Jamaica's Brother Leonard Howell established this as the first Rastafarian house of worship. They believe in one God, in Christ as a black Messiah, and Haile Selassie as the second coming. For 50 years, every afternoon at 3, the brothers and sisters of this tiny congregation have gathered here to drink beer and sing hymns to the Lion of Judah. The mainstream of the Rasta movement passed them by long ago. These are the originals, clinging to the old ways. But the coming of their Messiah, Haile Selassie, has not made their lives any easier materially. They remain dirt poor. Rastafarians in the cities fared no better. Their already miserable lives got even worse. Rastafarians were treated as outcasts, the absolute dregs of society. Their religious practice of growing natural long hair was misunderstood as somehow being threatening. The hairstyle became known as dreadlocks. Police regularly and systematically harassed them, with full support from most other Jamaicans, white and black. But Rastafarian numbers steadily increased. About 10% of Jamaica's 2 million population are now converts, and the movement has spread in the last few years to other Caribbean islands, such as Barbados, Trinidad, and Tobago. Jamaica's overall unemployment rate of 20% is much worse in the ghettos, where most Rastafarians still live. Spiritually and socially, however, the Rasta movement has come a long way from Brother Leonard's little church in the Wildwood. From the ghettos and the boondocks, it has moved out and up. This is uptown Kingston, a world apart from the slums that spawned the Rastafarian movement. This is a world of well-off black successors to the former slave masters. They never believed Rastafarians could become part of their world. They were wrong, and nowhere is the proof more dramatic than here along Kingston's fashionable Hope Road. Proof of just how powerful Rastafari has become and how deeply it now permeates into Jamaica's middle class. Get the picture. This is the home of the Prime Minister of the country. Just down the road, the residence of the Governor General. And then right here, next in line, is the home of the new prophet of the Rastafarian movement. Not a priest, but a pop singer. Bob Marley and a musical group called the Wailers rode reggae music out of the ghetto and into legend. First at home in Jamaica, then internationally. Marley is one of several reggae musicians from the island who have made a worldwide name for themselves and millions of dollars wailing the Rasta's message. Surrounded by the usual trappings of superstardom, including an entourage of agents, lawyers, backup singers, and hangers-on, Marley is constantly courted by Jamaica's new Prime Minister, Edward Siega, as he was by the former Prime Minister, Socialist Michael Manley. Through it all, Marley has remained aloof from the cut and thrust of Jamaican party politics, expressing devotion to only one master, Rastafari. But Bob Marley's music does carry a political message. The suffering and captivity of the Caribbean black masses, he sings, will soon be over. The day of judgment is nigh. It is this message that has led many observers to wonder just where politically the Rastafarian movement is headed. Rex Nettleford is a professor at the University of the West Indies.
They are more than just exploited proletarians. They are denigrated Africans in exile. Now that colors the whole worldview in a very fundamental sense. And you have probably heard some Rastafarians in Jamaica saying that we don't want capitalism, we don't want socialism, we want to be Rastafari.
Being exploited by the Cuban-Soviet axis. This is an accusation I've heard about Rastafarians. Any justification, in fact, for that?
Oh no, I mean, not at all.
Let me go down the list of other accusations and fears about Rastafarians that have been put to me. That it represents a large criminal element, and that what you would call discrimination by police is at least partially justified because they have dealt on a large scale with criminality.
Well, let's put it this way. A lot of people put on Parsons collars and perpetrate terrible crimes, and in this sense, the Rastafarians have been vulnerable. In fact, people have gone in, they have grown their hair, they have sort of taken the outward sign. But as many a Rasta man will ask you, have they got the inward grace? And that is what really determines whether a man is a true Rasta believer or not.
But whether they are true believers or ghetto hustlers, all Rastas find themselves on the wrong side of the law. And the reason is marijuana. Jamaicans call marijuana ganja, and it grows illegally many places on the island and out-of-the-way spots such as this. We drove 2.5 hours, then walked an hour almost straight up to get here. The U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency estimates that production in this country has tripled over the past 2 years, and an estimated 60 to 70% of the population smoke it at one time or another. But for the Rastaman, ganja has a special significance. For him, it is religious ritual, a sacrament, God's pleasure, the weed of wisdom. Meet Brother Sonny. That's the only name he ever uses. Brother Sonny is what is known as a herbsman. He grows the sacred ganja. But to do that, he must constantly dodge the law. Did they try to stamp it out here?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Well, in 1964, the Labour Party government take a certain amount of money from United States America to stamp it out, and them go and buy 2 helicopters. And anywhere we turn in the woods and rocks and mountain, they have the helicopter over our head. And anywhere at all we turn, them come down from we, run we all about, shoot gun and run we all about in the bushes.
Very tough time.
Yes, to kill it out.
So did they kill it out?
No, can never. What God made, no man can kill it out. Only God himself can kill it out.
What you're saying is this is the only way...
Only way of living. No other way we don't have here.
But you could get a job.
No job. Nobody will give us a little job.
Most Rastas neither grow ganja nor make a business of it. They eke out meager livings in simple ways such as fishing. When buying and selling among themselves, they spend very little for the herb. $6 bought enough to last this group all day. The regular going rate, they said, but emphasized one must be a recognized follower of the faith to buy it at that price. They carefully and lovingly cut it and trim it, sometimes blending in a little tobacco to add texture. And then they worship by enjoying throughout the afternoon and well into the night.
It's in the whole of mountain. Shall offer the gates of Zion more than all the dwellings of Jacob. Glorious things have been spoken of our city of Jah, Zion and Mount Zion. For I shall make mention of Rahab and of Babylon to them that know I. Behold, Philistia and Tyre with Ethiopia, this man, Emperor Haile Selassie, I was born there. And
did his death in Ethiopia in 1975. Arthur Kitchen, 30-year-old journalist, university graduate, and devoted Rasta man.
You don't believe literally that Haile Selassie lives?
Yes, I know he, well, let's put it this way. I have no proof to the contrary that he does not live.
Now, my question is whether you mean that literally or spiritually.
Oh, literally. He lives in the flesh.
You don't think he is dead and buried in Ethiopia?
Well, that's what the press say, but you and I know what the press can do.
As recently as 5 years ago, believers such as Arthur Kitchen were routinely committed to Jamaica's Bellevue Mental Hospital. Physicians regularly diagnosed them as medically and legally insane. But no longer. That's because Fred Hickling has stopped the practice. He may strike you as looking a little like a Rasta man himself, but he is in fact the hospital's senior medical officer. And Dr. Hickling, born to Jamaica's elite, trained at the famed Edinburgh Medical School, has come to believe that the image of Rastafarians as madmen is rubbish.
So you think it is a political force? Oh, undoubted so. It is a national liberation movement. It is and even more than a national liberation movement. It's a national liberation movement in a global sense, a national liberation movement for, perhaps for black people around the world.
And this is one reason the music appeals worldwide.
That's the truth. And you can go to a number of different countries at this time, Africa, North American continent, Europe, and you will find reggae music everywhere. And the influence of Rastafari, you'll find it everywhere. In other words, no matter what you want to believe or think, Rastafari has made itself a reality around the world.
Rather, we'll be back next week with another edition of 60 Minutes.
This is another reason reggae is rebel music. Bob Marley himself. Bob, how important is the ganja to a Rasta man?
Ganja is a bird. This is herb.
Herb. Does it matter to you that it's still against the law here in Jamaica?
Every law is illegal.
Every law is illegal?
Every government upon the face of this earth today is illegal. Not one of them is legal.
By 1974, street violence and shootings were so rampant that the Manly government felt obliged to introduce some very tough anti-gun laws. And any Jamaican found with a firearm in his possession wound up at this place, what became known as the notorious gun court. And it's a pretty awesome-looking deterrent. And even today, some 5 years later, there are still about 120 men inside that place.
Hey man, what are you doing?
Do you think any of the Rastas have been involved in the killings in Jamaica over the years, or that's somebody else?
Rasta is involved in progress, in making understanding, like preaching traditional culture to people. Rasta no killers. You have to do good before you can be a Rasta.
You have to do good.
If he's baddie, then you're bad. If he's goody, then you're good.
What would I have to do to be a Rastafari?
Well, the first thing you have to be born again.
Born again?
Yeah.
Would I have to be black?
Do you have a choice? If you have a choice, you better be black if you have a choice. But if you don't have a choice, come as what God said you right?
Is the message of Rastafari that you should go back to Africa?
Yes, and that the earth must rule by Africa. one government. Forward, not back, forward.
Yeah? Go forward to Africa,
Yes.
not back. Do you think that will ever happen? Do you really believe that will happen?
Yeah.
Even if the ganja-smoking Mali, ripped out of his head most of the day, seems hard to take seriously, there are Jamaicans like journalist Colin Campbell who don't write him off.
In terms of the words which comes out of Bob Marley's music, in his lyrics, I think he's most definitely a leader. He is a leader in terms of the voice of the ghetto.
But a folk hero, nevertheless.
Most definitely, he is. And probably the greatest contemporary folk hero.
Made a lot of money out of your music?
Money. I mean, how much is a lot of money to you?
Yeah, that's a good question. Have you made, say, millions of dollars?
No.
Are you a rich man?
When you mean rich, what you mean?
Do you have a lot of possessions? A lot of money in the bank?
Position make you rich? I don't have that type of richness. My richness is life, forever.
Even though the temptation is to laugh at a stoned Jamaican musician, Bob Marley's view of the plight of the black man is hard to knock.
The black survivors